This episode of The Inspiration Show is so incredibly special. Today's inspiration has had such a profound impact on my life and is truly one of my favorite people and performers. His story and his journey are truly the utmost inspiring, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to get to look up to him and watch him shine. The incredibly talented Jamie Martin Mann is here, and he's sharing his incredible journey from the TV and film world to currently starring as Ted Wheeler in Stranger Things: The First Shadow on Broadway. He has done it all and he is an absolute star. Jamie, thank you so much for being here. I have so much love and admiration for you, and it's such an honor to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me, Allison. It's literally my pleasure. I'm super excited.
So, your journey began as a dancer. So, when did you first fall in love with dance, and what was it about dance that really drew you in and made you gravitate towards it?
I feel like dance found me more necessarily than I found dance. I just was not a very apt athlete. I started in soccer when I was in first grade and was pretty terrible. But I always had rhythm. And I think my parents caught wind of that and put me in ballet classes when I was around 7 years old. And from then on, I just stuck with it. It really was the gateway to the rest of the entertainment world. I fell in love with ballet, and from there started acting and then eventually singing as well. So it was a really I don't know, it was kind of a kismet moment. It wasn't necessarily what I was anticipating I was going to do, but and I don't think my parents anticipated it either. But yeah, ballet is definitely what got me started and everything.
Yeah, no, I think it's the funniest thing in the world how like a lot of us theater people don't do sports, and then there
Hmm.
are some of us that kind of do both. And then we
Hmm.
have like the Broadway softball league, Broadway bowling.
Yeah.
Like we're getting
Yeah.
people to do sports, and I just think it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, it's nice to come back to sports after growing up and not feeling like I was ever capable of it. I remember during COVID, I played a lot of tennis with my dad, and it was a nice moment of realizing that I can and like to do both sometimes.
Yeah. We can do both. It's just not very
Yeah,
common.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
So, could you share what your dance journey was like growing up and how it really shaped you?
100%. I think I started again when I was in seventh grade, started with ballet for probably until I was around I think I was starting to dance at Alvin Ailey. So I started in second grade and then started to dance at Alvin Ailey around fourth grade. And the boys athletics dance program at Alvin Ailey is fantastic. So I was doing because it's free. So it was kids from all around the city. And I lived in Connecticut at the time, so I was commuting with my mom. But that was a really cool program because we would learn on Saturdays. We had three classes. It was tap, ballet, and Horton and West African. So that was a really cool way to broaden my horizons of the many, many different dance styles. And then obviously the school of Alvin Ailey has such a rich history. So learning about that at such a young age, I think gave me a more worldly perspective of why dance was really important. And I think when you're studying ballet and studying dance in general, it takes a ton of discipline. So I'm glad that it's where I started because I think it's one of the reasons why I'm able to find discipline when I need it now, and especially now.
Yeah, I relate to that so much. Like, growing up dancing as well, I find that like dance taught me discipline and confidence and communication and hard work. And like it taught me so many things that I brought to the stage when I was performing
Yeah.
doing musical theater. And I
Mhm.
really could not imagine a different entrance into theater without dance because it gave me so many tools.
100%. And I think ballet specifically is a really foundational movement. It teaches you balance and structure and lines. And then when you move into cl- styles like jazz and tap even, my breaking of that form felt a little bit more deliberate. And I think it made it easier and more fluid stepping into other dance styles just because ballet develops a really amazing foundation and I was able to use it whenever I was dropping into other styles of dance.
Yeah. And it's so perfect for you because you played Billy Elliot like how many times?
I did it four times regionally, which was wild. I mean,
Yeah.
such an amazing experience.
Yeah, because you took I Just Want to Dance at the Ballet very literally, and I love that for you.
Yeah. And funnily enough, I saw Billy Elliot when I was around 7, which is way too young for that show. It's a pretty dark,
Yeah,
surprisingly dark show to see
surprisingly dark.
a child. But it's got a lot of serious messaging. But I had this very surreal out of body experience at the end of the show when everyone was bowing. And I remember, even now, I like viscerally remember the sense uh of feeling like I was sitting on the wrong side of the theater, that I needed to be up there. And I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I did feel that way as a 7-year-old. I can tell you pretty definitively I felt that way. And then I saw the Broadway show 2 more times, so I really could not get enough.
Yeah, I know I had that same experience with a show. My mom took me to see a community theater show at my local theater company, and during
Mhm.
intermission, I turned to her and I whispered and I said, "That's gonna be me up on stage
Yeah.
one day." And
Yeah.
3 years later, I was up on that same stage doing the same show with the
No
same
way.
choreography. Like,
That's amazing.
it's so full circle when you kinda just feel it, and then you kinda manifest it, and it comes true for you. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I love about being able to work on Broadway now is that with Stranger Things specifically, I think we're interacting with a lot of audience members who are new to Broadway and having the ability to give that experience to so many new theater goers is just, it's so rewarding. That's really the most rewarding part, I think.
Yeah. And I think one thing that the theater community is so grateful to about like Stranger Things and all the incredible work you guys are doing at that show is so many people are coming to see it because they know and they love Stranger Things and then they
Mhm.
fall in love with theater from that.
Yeah,
It's so special to get to introduce people to a completely different medium.
yeah. It's that like what you just touched on, I think is the really unique aspect of bringing a pre-existing world to stage in the same way that Harry Potter, I think,
Yeah.
did a similar thing. There are so many people coming to see our show that have never seen Broadway shows before. And I think that the most beautiful aspect of working in the theater is the community. So to get to work on a production that I really truly believe is helping to grow the industry itself as a whole and introducing people to the medium, getting them to see other shows as well as ours. That's what's so exciting about
Yeah.
working on this production specifically.
Oh, it's so awesome. And like being bit by the theater bug is the greatest gift a person could ask for. So
Absolutely.
when you give that gift to other people, like it's just such a gift. Oh.
It's amazing. Really amazing.
So after growing up with dance, how did theater like really enter your life? And then when did you realize that theater was a passion of yours?
Gosh, that's a good question. I spent a long time dancing, and I remember, I think I was in third or fourth grade. I did my first musical. I did Footloose, and I played Willard.
Well, that's such a good show for you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And I remember my mom coming up to, like, seeing my mom after the show, and she was crying. And I remember being like, what is going on? Like, why are you crying? That's so weird. I never see you cry. And she my mom is my greatest champion. I love her to death, and she still doesn't really cry that often. So it really was a special moment because I think she was a sort of exemplifier for me to know that this was something that I should pursue. That my performance somehow elicited that reaction. My fourth grade mind was like, that's interesting. I wonder why. And and I also loved it. Like there's nothing more magical than being on stage in front of people and the rush that you get from that experience or the rush that I got from that experience. I never really understood performance anxiety until I got to college, and that's a whole nother story. But that was one of the reasons I fell in love with theater too. It's just the most exciting thing to be a part of. In so many ways, it is a team sport, just like any other athletic
Yes.
program is. It's a group of
Yeah.
people together, coming together to pursue a goal, and it takes all the various puzzle pieces to pull it off. And when you do, it's just magic.
Magic. I always say that theater is my sport, but it is such
Mhm.
a team sport because you can't do it without that support system. Like it's such a root in this industry, and it's so special when you get to perform with those people or for those people that have been that support system, and it's just magical. There's really no
Mhm.
words for it.
Yeah.
So, can you take us back to the first time you experienced theater and how you were feeling at the time?
I really think my first memory of theater specifically is Billy Elliot. It was magical. I had this like I want to say spiritual connection to it. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but there is like no real other way to describe it. I was so young and so invested, and not in a way that it was a hyperfixation or an obsession. It was just this like inherent need to do it. And that's one of the reasons why I worked so hard post seeing that show. I immediately was involved in dancing, singing, acting, and truly to for the goal was at that point after seeing that show was to play that part. I wanted to do it so badly. And unfortunately, the tour ended and the West End closed. So my final option was to pursue the show regionally, which was ended up being such a fruitful experience. I did it 4 times. Literally couldn't get enough. And eventually put the part to bed because I kind of grew out of it. I think I was like four is enough. I think four is good. Four is fine. Then we can close the chapter now.
Oh, wow. How old were you each time you did it? Like, did you have a large gap? And then what was it like for you coming back to revisit Billy Elliot as you got older, as a person and as an actor?
100%. I when I was doing the show was I think it was 12 and 13,
Mm.
and I never after I laid the show to rest, I never really touched it. I never thought about it. Uh I was pursuing ballet and eventually decided going into high school that I didn't want to pursue dance full time, that I wanted to go into musical theater. The ballet world is just, it's a hard world and it takes a ton of work. And I felt like I was obviously putting the work in, but I was at the time commuting from Connecticut to New York to dance at School of American Ballet and realized eventually that it just was not worth the amount of time it was taking to commute to class. And that if I were to pursue it full time, I would have to move to the city and move away from home. And it was just it didn't feel worth it. I did a summer at Boston Ballet, which was an amazing summer, but it felt like a confirmation that I could close the door on a really, really important part of my life, a really beautiful friend group that I had at that school, and pursue musical theater. I'm from Westport, Connecticut, and our theater program is amazing. And they were doing Newsies, so it kind of felt
Yeah.
oh, this opportunity has been has been to a certain degree handpicked for me because I've been training in dance my whole life, and like this is the dream show that I can do in high school. Um, and that program host Justin Paul graduated from Staples as well, and the
Nice.
writer of Dear Evan Hansen, who also went to Michigan, which is so random. But yeah, it's a really it was a really great program, and I think it was inevitably the right decision. It was definitely a difficult one, and it was a scary one because it was risky because I'd spent so much time pursuing dance. But when I left the field, it felt like the right move.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it always comes back to Newsies. What can I say?
It always comes back to Newsies. Yeah, and then well, Billy Elliot. I randomly sang Billy Elliot. It's a song from Billy Elliot at my final Michigan showcase thing. Not the showcase in the city, but we had kind of a voice class, and I decided to reprise one of the songs from that, which was kind of wild and silly, but it was very fun.
No, that's so full circle. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aw. So, what really inspired you to become a performer, and who's been an inspiration of yours throughout your career?
Gosh, I think my greatest inspiration and the best teacher I've ever had. She's a teacher and a mentor. Her name is Cynthia Gibbs. She was on Fame. She did Gypsy with Bette Midler, the film. She played Louise, and she's amazing. She was my voice teacher growing up, and then we were working on acting together, and since then has become a relative point person. She and my mom are very close friends, and I stayed at her house while I was filming Days of Our Lives, and I did that over the summer between summer of my sophomore and junior year of college. She's just the person that's always there for me. She's seen everything that I've done, and she knows me as a performer really well, both mentally and talent-wise. And so I really appreciate the knowledge that she's provided me with. And she was kind of the guiding light, especially at the beginning of my career when I was started seriously pursuing singing, especially. She was the one who helped me find my voice, so to speak. So I owe a lot of where I am to her. Who else? I mean, God, I've had so many teachers. I think the directors I work with too, I'm trying to think of specific people, but obviously none are coming to me at the moment. Cynthia is kind of the one that I really want to highlight. And then obviously someone like my mom who is just kind of like a ubiquitous champion always. And then also will tell me when I'm, you know, need to buck up and work a little harder, which I really appreciate. She'll do that and she'll also tell me to take a break.
Yep,
When she tells me to take a break, I know I need to take a break.
that's what moms are for. Oh.
Really.
So you attended the University of Michigan, where you obtained a BFA in musical theater. Go Blue.
Mhm. Go blue.
How has your experience at UMich included your development as an actor and prepared you for a career in film and TV and on Broadway?
Absolutely. College is really hard. I feel like I wasn't anticipating the struggles that I had while I was at school. Like I kind of hinted at earlier, when I got to college, I started developing performance anxiety, which was very weird because I'd never experienced anything like it before. I had just such an inherent trust in what I was able to do as a child that when I got to school, that started to evaporate. And I spent a long time rebuilding through the work, through singing, and also just through, mental health check-ins and reintegrating my relationship with performance. I redeveloped a sense of safety and trust in my own performance abilities. But that experience was incredibly difficult for a myriad of reasons, one of which I think has a lot to do with the idea that oh, when you become scared of doing the thing that you love, you start to wonder whether or not you're scared to do it because you don't want to do it anymore. And I was surrounded by, I mean, Michigan has the most talented students of all time. I stand by that,
Yes, yes,
which
it does.
is obviously there's a ton of other schools that are fantastic, but my heart's with Michigan. Go Blue. And my classmates were so talented. The peers above me were so talented, and I myself, along with everyone else, we all exude a certain sense of confidence when we perform. But I think that imposter syndrome and performance anxiety, and for anybody who's watching who's intending to go to school for theater, it's a very inherent and important. I think it's a really important part of going to school for any of the performing arts is having a period of time where you are forced to question how badly you want to pursue the career that you're pursuing. And I know that while you're at school, it starts to feel like, well, I've already paid so much money for it and I can't go back. You can go back. You can totally reconsider. I found that for myself specifically, that performance anxiety had everything to do with how badly I wanted it and how much I cared about the craft and my talent and my own ability. And I went through puberty later in life, so my voice was regrowing. When you go through puberty, sometimes it feels like there's a restart, there's a reset. And I'd been singing for so long and I'd gotten so comfortable in the larynx that I had when I was prepubescent, and all of a sudden it grew and dropped, and I kind of had to start afresh to a certain degree, which is terrifying. Like it is the scariest thing on earth to, go up to perform in front of people and not know what is going to come out. However, I think because of all those experiences, because I fought through all of those anxieties, I've come out the other side. And obviously, it still lingers. I don't, show up to performances and I'm just like, whatever, it's fine. No, it's always scary. It's always very scary because I always really care about the work that I'm putting out. However, because of those experiences, because of school, because I had the opportunity to learn and grow in an environment that was built for learning and growing, for falling flat on your face and everybody saying, get up and try again, I was able to develop the tools that I needed to do it in the professional field where there is less leniency, where if you fail there, it's a little bit higher stakes. Mind you, I fail on stage all the time. I mess up those guitar chords in Stranger Things every day. But point is, I don't let a mistake like that like trample my confidence that I have for the rest of the show. And I think that that comes from serious work, like serious, important, difficult work. That is probably the hardest thing I've had to go through in terms of the performance field by far. including working really hard preparing for Billy Elliot, including anything that takes a deep amount of work to be working really hard while simultaneously your mind is telling me that you're not good enough and that you're scared of it. It is like it is the hardest thing on earth, but it is so worth working through, and it's so important that it's difficult. If it were easy, anyone would do it, and I think that's why I look back and it feels like that's kind of why I had to go through that experience to get where I am now.
Yeah, what an incredible journey you had. It's so like it's just so incredible hearing
Thanks.
your wise words and it's wonderful. So what was the biggest lesson you think you took away from your time at UMich that you brought with you to Days of Our Lives, to Stranger Things? Kind of something that you really carry that kind of caused you to look at acting and musical theater in a whole new light or perspective.
Absolutely. I had a teacher at Lambda, an acting teacher, say to me and the group of us that were in the class at the time, say the reason that you go to acting school is so you can work yourself out of problems that you encounter as an actor. There's plenty of people that are insanely talented and just throw themselves into the field and are extremely successful. They win Oscars. Like it's totally a thing that happens. And I have all the respect for those actors. I think they're amazing. And I don't think that what I'm about to say goes for everyone. A lot of people can, figure out the challenges of an actor. But the reason that you go to school is so that when you encounter problems in the acting world, when you get a script and don't really know what to do, you have the tools to execute it in a way that will be acceptable for you. You will never I feel like as an actor, I have the tools now to have a certain baseline for how good I will always be. Like, I think that the reason you go to acting school is one, so that you learn how to be a good actor, but you also learn simultaneously what it would take to be a bad actor. So, since graduating from college and since having all of these professional experiences, it's difficult to be a bad actor because of all the experiences that I've had, because of all the knowledge that I've acquired, because I know what it looks like to be a bad performer. I would know how to replicate a bad performance should I need to. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily go all the time. Roles are still super challenging. Oh, sometimes I execute in a way that is not effective or right for the part, but all of my executions are thoughtful and backed by knowledge. Um, and obviously there's always trial and error, but I think that specifically going into a program like Days of Our Lives, which traditionally soap operas, the scripts are written so quickly that there's not a lot of attention to detail. There's not time for attention to detail. As an actor, my job was to make sure that the performances that I was executing were holding up. It was my job to find the nuance and find the subtext and imbue it in the work. And that was such an amazing training ground for that because it's so fast paced and you have to have so much trust in your partners that you're working with and your fellow actors that you're working with. And I think there's a sense of efficiency and uh nuance that I developed as an actor on that set specifically just because of the pacing. Um, So yeah, that's why I think acting school is really important. And again, for some people, they don't need it. But I think if you're going to pursue acting, it's at least, at least immerse yourself in the best work. That's another way to get really good is to either go see shows or go watch shows online, slime tutorials.
What? Who said that? Sorry, what?
Who said that? Sorry. Uh, Watch the best performances because that's an amazing way to learn. Um, I mean, yeah, it works out differently for everyone. That's the main thing that I think I took away from school, though. And
Yeah.
I fail all the time. I just want to be clear. That does not mean that all the work that I do from now on is perfect. It's just that the choices that I make, I think, are backed with a little bit more knowledge now than they were before.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I've had that same experience. I was a theater student from elementary school all the way to now my senior year in high school. And in eighth grade, my graduating show was A Midsummer Night's Dream. And
Amazing.
now my grade 12 graduating play is A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wow.
Funny enough, I got cast in the same role.
Who are
And
you playing?
I'm playing Peter Quince.
Oh, great. Oh,
Such a
fantastic.
fun role. So reading through that script again and revisiting it as a senior rather than just coming into my freshman year, I'm
Mm,
realizing what I'm doing so differently because
mhm.
I've added so much more to my toolbox throughout
Yeah,
those 4 years. And I'm like, wow, how did I not think about this back then? And it's amazing to see firsthand, personally, how this training and acting school has helped me grow so much into a
yeah,
better actor, which is just incredible.
yeah, that's amazing. That's so amazing. And Shakespeare is, I think, the best way
Yeah.
to challenge yourself. It'll pick all of your acting habits apart and
Mhm.
force you to question everything that you're doing in a way that is deeply stressful and also so gratifying.
Yeah, you summed that up perfectly. Yeah. So when you were in high school, you starred in the Netflix original series Country Comfort as Brody. So what was your overall experience on the show? And looking back now, what did that experience mean to you and how did it shape you? Because you were so young when you did that.
Yeah, I was pretty young, huh? It was an amazing experience. I think it was the first big television production that I'd ever done. I flew to Los Angeles for the audition. I was on the Netflix lot. It was very overwhelming, but it that cast, we got so close so fast. I mean, we were playing a family, so there were so many scenes that we all had together, which I'm really glad about that. Like I'm really glad that we had the time to rehearse scenes that were so inclusive of the entire cast and that Netflix gave us a week of prep before we even started filming to develop a sense of dynamic and comfortability in front of each other. And I think that was an amazing show to be a part of, mainly just because of the cast dynamic. I think we were all so insanely close, and I'm still close with the actors that I work with on that show today, Griffin and Shiloh, and um, I'm trying to remember all the Ricardo and Piper. Piper? Yes, Piper. I'm almost positive. Her names escape me all the time. But point is, we had such a great time. We were such a great, yeah, it was Piper. I'm almost positive it's Piper. I'm gonna look it up now because I'm like stressed about it. But it was a really because it was so young and because we were all kind of new to the business. Yes, Piper Braun. Yes, okay, good.
You got it. You
I
got it.
got I got so nervous. Uh, uh, because we were all new to the business, I think there was a certain sense of, we were all stepping in with the same amount of experience. Ricardo had done a couple of shows prior, but we were all coming in with wide eyes and just very excited to be a part of it. Catherine McPhee was the best spearhead. She is so professional and so talented. I mean, God, the voice and acting chops of a goddess. She's amazing. And we got to learn so much from her. And we just had a great support system on that set. It was a really nice place to learn. Um, Again, working on any show for a big production company, you just kind of see the relative bureaucracy that exists, the hierarchy, the system at play, and how you fit into it. And to a certain degree, I had to kind of take a step back and live in a bit of blissful ignorance there just because it's a lot. It's very overwhelming and I'm glad that at the time I was able to say, okay, this is the work that I need to do and I'm going to come in and do the best job that I physically can. And I think I did that to the best of my ability. And I was proud of the work that I did on that show. I mean, it was so much fun, and it's proud of the work that we got to do together, and the dynamic that we developed. Because I do think that was something that read well from the screen was you could tell that the cast was close, and we were able to replicate a family in a nice way.
Yeah, and it was such a special show with like so much music.
So much music, and we got to sing all the time. Yeah, of course. Like
Yeah.
and any sitcom like that, we were filming in kind of a theater. I mean, you had the main set, and then on Fridays we would film with a live audience. So it felt like theater. So that was another really amazing aspect of it. It was like it was so fluid from the experiences that I had prior, because I was performing for a whole room full of people. Which when you're on a single cam set, it's, one take and then you act your face off and then you stop and then you do the same thing again. And there's no real, there's no gratification. Nobody's applauding you, which I can get into why I think that's really important when you're working on a single camera set. But for a kid who had been, solely involved in theater all their life, that was a really nice, it was a nice thing be able to have a bit of both. Something that I was comfortable with was definitely performing in front of people.
Yeah. Do you think that working on a show with so much music kind of gave you like a whole new perspective on performing or like inspire you in ways like you didn't think would?
Yeah, I mean, I think specifically like working with Catherine, she's such an amazing singer. I kind of saw to a certain degree like what it looked like to be at that like that vocal caliber. She is just got such wonderful training. And at the time I was around 16, so that was like kind of smack dab in the middle of puberty, which is scary. So I knew from that experience like where I wanted to be vocally eventually, and I'm still nowhere near there, but I'm working on it. But I think again, working with people that are at that level is really important because you kind of see how the work is done and how you might want to do the work in future. Um, in terms of just I mean, recording in a booth was something I wasn't super used to, so I got to do that a little bit, which again, just like experience wise was really amazing. Definitely a bizarre something I wasn't used to, but again, very gratifying, very cool to get to work with the producers on that show in the sound booth specifically. Um, I had to learn the guitar for that show. Still can't play the guitar that well, but
You do it so well in Stranger Things.
uh,
Come
I play
on.
the guitar every night now, so it's, it worked out well for that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny too, because the Stranger Things casting, there was no guitar skills necessary, like in the breakdown. That was just a fun surprise that I got when I showed up to work.
Because
Um,
that's one of the first
thank
things
God
I
I knew
said to
I
you.
knew the main chords, so I
Yeah.
was able to do that, which was great.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I said to you after I saw the show, after I picked my jaw off the floor. I was like, you playing guitar? Like, what?
I know, very random. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it.
No, that's awesome. And what was that experience like, being in front of a camera for the first time? Because that was your first big TV and film thing, being so used to theater and now having cameras this close to your face, like that must have been a huge shift.
100%. I mean, it was definitely like don't look in the lens, don't look in the lens for the first couple of episodes because that's weird. The cameras are a bit much bigger than when you're self-taping. So not looking in the lens was kind of my first priority. Um, there's a certain level of nuance that comes with working with cameras instead of a whole house full of people that I had to get used to. You have a little bit more freedom in terms of the more minuscule expression changes and the way that that can influence a scene. And that's still something that I like to work on now is finding the balance between film and television work and theater work because it's very hard to self-tape for theater because theater it requires a whole body to tell the story. And if you're framed to like where I am right now, even potentially closer, it's much harder to do that effectively. But for something like TV and film, you have to get used to not using your entire body to tell the story, to find ways in which to center all of your reaction and all of your emotion into one facial expression. And um, that was a that was a nice training ground for that. Again, another way that I could see my co-stars interacting with the camera was a great experience to learn from because that is such an art in itself.
Yeah. Wow. So your most recent TV and film project was Days of Our Lives, where you starred as Tate Black. So
Mhm.
Days is such a significant part of TV history because it's one of the longest running scripted television programs in the world, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
wild.
Yeah. So what was your experience like auditioning for the show, and what were your first impressions stepping into this long running show and entering the world of soap operas?
Absolutely. I think there's a widespread stigma about soap operas that they're, I mean, who knows what people say, but that they're chuggy and they're, a little kitschy and that the acting isn't good and that the camera work isn't good. And if I can, to anyone who is watching, I would like to debunk it because it's not true at all.
Preach.
The actors that I worked with on that show were so, so incredible. And it takes such a level of professionalism, such a level of trust. I mean, that is by far like the best acting intensive I could have asked for in my whole life. You're getting every script you get is so high stakes. Every episode is so high stakes. It's like part of the structure of that kind of television. And it was such a, oh, sorry, hit my computer here. it was such a great way to learn how to act and act fast and act effectively. And I worked with Eric Martzoff, who played my dad, and Emily. Um, I'll have to remember her last name too. I'm so bad with names. It's like my greatest flaw.
Oh, you're
But
good.
they both played my parents on the show, and we had such a and Ashley Pizemis, who is new and is still on the show now. We were new together. They were so helpful in teaching me, and working with them was so amazing because they had just such a fluidity and comfort on set that I could kind of play off of, which as an actor is like all that you want is to have a partner who feels like they know what they're doing. So you can just be like, okay, they got me. And they were that for me, 100%. And then Ashley and I were both learning at the same time. So when we had scenes together, it was really nice because there was an equal playing field. There was kind of a level ground there. And we were both, yeah, making mistakes and having fun. And everyone on that set was so forgiving. And obviously it's really fast paced, but it was a great lesson in I'm a perfectionist, so that was the best place to be for perfectionism because you literally get two takes and you have to be okay with the work that you're doing. And so I kind of insisted upon making sure that the work was there to ground me and that my performances were where I wanted them to be. So it was a lot of work and it was a lot of training and it was a lot of the technique that I'd learned at school that got me through that experience. Uh, that's one of the reasons why I think acting school is so important because, again, the scripts are quickly written. They're not, I wouldn't say they have a ton of subtext. I feel like that's okay to say. However, it is there for you. Like, or I shouldn't say that they don't have subtext. It's just harder to find.
Mhm.
It's written in, it's just a little bit more difficult to extract. So as from an acting perspective, knowing that I had the tools there to help me find what I needed to get from those scenes, to be able to kind of twist and mold it to what I needed it to be what I needed it to be from a perspective that I could justify. That was like the best training ever. I mean, it was, and to have to do it fast and to have to be able to execute quickly, like I'm so glad that I had that experience and I got to work with those people and learn from everyone on that set because again, it's like it is such a machine in the sense that no, but everyone is very humble, everyone is very dedicated, and everyone's very driven. Um, and we all had to pull our own weight. So to be a part of that was and to be in a community of that like efficiency as an actor was like the best. I mean, the best training I could have ever gotten, and one of the best experiences. I will cherish that forever. So many actors start in soaps. It's like
Yeah.
it's an amazing way to learn.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite part and most challenging part about portraying Tate, and which scenes or storylines challenged you the most? Because you did some pretty crazy things on that show.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
my girlfriend like overdosed on drugs and then was in a coma, and then
Yeah.
I was blamed for it.
Yeah.
So like that whole storyline was so tough. That was a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and again, acting wise, like I'd never touched any material of that depth. It was really high stakes, and that was really challenging. But again, like it was kind of like, oh God, I didn't anticipate I was gonna have to do this, and now I have to do this. All right, like here we go. Um, And I'm so glad that I got to do that work. Like, I'm so glad that it was work that challenged me, that terrified me. And, some of it I go back and I'm like, yeah, I guess I would do that differently now, but
Mhm.
I'm very okay with the work that I did then. I'm proud of the stakes that I was able to reach during that show. Um, and again, just like training ground wise, it's like that kind of level of stakes to be able to work with
Yeah.
that much drama is that's really an invaluable opportunity, especially for an actor.
Yeah. You hit all those targets, and jail looked good on you.
I
That was
got
good.
punched. I got punched in the face,
I was
guys.
gonna say that black eye.
Punched in the face off screen.
That was
Nice
like,
black guy though.
yeah, no, that was iconic. So, looking back, what's your favorite memory or moment from playing Tate on the show?
I think it was all just the like rehearsals that we would do in our dressing rooms and then take them to set. We did so much running in the dressing room off camera because you don't have a ton of time on the set. You do two takes and then it's over. So I think we were all really good about making sure that we felt comfortable enough to do the scene quickly by the time we got to set. Um, so again, it was like we gave ourselves that rehearsal. And getting to play around with those really talented actors who were so experienced was yeah, such invaluable training.
Yeah. So, what's one lesson or skill that you learned on Days of Our Lives that you still carry with you today?
I think less is more is huge.
Yeah.
And whenever you have a question in a scene, actually ask it. It's really like kind of the two big takeaways, acting takeaways at least, that I got from that show. I now, whenever there's a question in a script, I always make sure I'm like, are you asking the question or are you just saying the line and then moving on?
Yeah. Yeah. It's especially really important that you kind of dig deep because I feel like when you dig deep and you ask those questions and you get answers, it gives you as an actor so much more character development in the
Yeah,
role you're playing. Like
100%.
you actually understand what you're saying. Like I used to make all my theater teachers tell me what was happening in every single scene of Shakespeare because
Mhm.
I didn't understand it. And I was like, I don't know how I'm acting this if I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So I made them Englishify it for me, and then I felt like such a stronger actor when I got up and did it again because I knew what I was saying.
yeah,
So
100%.
asking those questions is so important. So alongside from being a star on screen, you are currently making your Broadway debut in Stranger Things: The First Shadow, portraying the role of Ted Wheeler and understudying Hopper. So what is it like stepping into the world of Stranger Things and bringing this beloved franchise to the stage and to Broadway?
God, it's been such a pleasure. I think this show specifically, the part of it that I've just enjoyed the most is working with the people. It's so many new. I think we have like 20 Broadway debuts in our show, and everyone's always so excited to come to work. Everyone is so dedicated, so talented. This cast is so talented. They
Yes.
every single day. Um, we're all just really supportive of each other, and yeah, I think we all care about each other more. I would say more so than in any other show that I've worked on, and it's nice too because you get so much time together when you work on a show for this long. We've worked since January. I've been in rehearsals since January, and I know these are like my best friends right now. Like I love going to work every day. Um, you learn so much from being in a rehearsal room with directors like Stephen Daldry and Justin Martin, who Stephen Daldry and Justin Martin did Billy Elliot, which is super full circle. So to get to work with them on this show has been such a joy because they obviously have such immense theatrical experience. And I mean, Steven also and Justin as well. They've both worked in TV and film. So they've kind of crossed through all of the mediums and they bring such invaluable lessons to the table. Every time we were in rehearsals, I felt like a sponge. I was just writing down as much as I could possibly get. And theater is so experimental always, even with a show as big as this, even with a show that had a, run preceding it in London. So much, none of the script was set when we got into rehearsals. We were changing script from the get. New scenes tossed and new lines changed every single day. So there was a sense of, flexibility that you had to have as an actor to not get super attached to any of the work and be able to understand how this line changed the narrative and how it changed her character. And, getting to watch being an understudy was such an amazing experience because I got to be in all of those rehearsals, watching Burke and Allison and Juan um, explore that relationship. Um, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about this experience. It's been so unbelievably awesome. And I'm so grateful, especially to the people that I've gotten to work with and to the material that I've gotten to, interact with. Yeah, it's been so fantastic.
Yeah, that show is by far the coolest thing I had ever seen on a
Yeah.
stage.
And then it's also super cool. And I don't even think about that because I like don't really see it. And
Yeah,
people like that's so awesome that we get to like walk out of the stage door and people are like, this is the best show I've ever seen on Broadway. I'm like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Um, Yeah, no, 100%. Oh, and Louis. I mean, Louis McCartney, who was nominated for a damn Tony Award. Like he is
yeah,
not only is he like the most talented actor I've ever seen in my life, he is so humble and so kind, always. And yeah, he led our company with such gusto. He's an amazing person to have had lead the show.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, God, it's like the whole
Yeah.
company is just like it's so amazing, and the show obviously is so amazing. So for it to come together in this way, I feel very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you saw me going crazy after the show. Like, you were the first person I saw after seeing the show.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh my God, what did I just watch? Because like, you know this, but like, I went in blind. I knew
yeah,
nothing. So
yeah,
coming out of that, I was like, that is the best experience I had ever had. And like,
that's,
I'm not the greatest with horror. Like, even with the show
yeah,
Stranger Things, like, I was hesitant to watch it. Like, I watched it late because I'm not good with horror. And I was like,
mhm.
you know what? Like, I'm a sucker for a good show. I'm just gonna do it. And
Yeah,
I
such a
fell in love
great.
with it, as did the entire world. And like, what was that like for you? Had you seen Stranger Things prior to like booking the show? Like, were you familiar with it?
Yeah, I knew the show. I'd seen it all, and then obviously it came out a long time. It came out. The last season was out like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd seen the whole thing. Love the show. Um, got to the reading of it in Los Angeles with Dora Dolphin, who plays my girlfriend, who plays Karen. Not my girlfriend. She's her own big part, and we we have such a good time on stage. It
You
is
guys
such
are
a
the
party
best.
together. We
Watching it.
literally like I love doing it with her every day. It's so fun. Um, but Dora and I did that reading together, and we were the same parts in the reading. So that was really cool to get to see the early con- uh concepts of what the production was going to be. Um, what was your question? Oh my God, I'm so bad.
No, just your experience with Stranger Things before
Oh
you
yeah, just the
finished.
show itself.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the show is amazing. Like it's such a cool universe, and to get to be a part of it in the way that I am is God, it's like yeah, I feel so fortunate. It's all I could have asked for, and I think our writer Kate Treefry did such an amazing time, did such an amazing thing with keeping the show canon, but also not throwing so much new information in that like people who hadn't seen Stranger Things wouldn't have an enjoyable experience. She's found such a balance with that, and that was really impressive to me. I don't know how she pulled that off.
Yeah, no, it was so awesome. And like I was telling you, like I went in blind, so I knew nothing. So like
Mhm.
seeing it, we're gonna get into it soon, but like seeing the younger versions of these characters and putting it together with the knowledge I already had on the show, like was just so crazy seeing like this new world with the same people, but it's just a new world because they're younger and like exploring
Yeah,
that was really, really cool.
yeah.
So you took part in the workshops for the show, and you also saw the show in London. So can you walk us through your journey with Stranger Things, the first shadow, from your audition process to where you are now?
Yeah, God, I auditioned my sophomore year of college, or maybe it was my freshman year of college initially. And then did the reading in Los Angeles in September of my sophomore year. Met Dora, met Allison. Allison was also in that reading, which was super cool. Met Stephen and Justin, and Sonia Friedman was a part of that reading. Kate Treefry was the writer on that production as well. Um, honestly, like detail wise, don't really remember how much was different. It was kind of, I feel like the arc was relatively similar to the production that I then saw in London, which I found out I booked the role. God, on my birthday a year and a half ago. So like June
No
25th,
way.
2024, which was super cool. Very full circle. Oh, found out I booked it on my birthday and then we opened on my dad's birthday. Very random.
Oh,
But found out I booked the show and then my mom and sister were in London at the time, so we all went to go see it. And again, don't really remember what was different, but that experience was insane because I didn't know really much about the show at all. And I knew the like outline of the storyline, but watching the show and seeing Louis, I saw Louis in London and it was surreal. Like I mean, again, it's the show that we're doing now, but doing it is very different than seeing it. And I remember seeing it and being absolutely blown away. It was fantastic. And then yeah, we started rehearsals in January. I didn't know if the show's script was going to change at all, and it did. It was a very fluid rehearsal process in terms of changing the script and making it more exciting. And, you know, it was very open-ended, which was cool because it didn't have to be because they had such an amazing production already being done in London. Um, and yeah, we had what, 4 weeks of rehearsal and then 4 weeks of tech, and then we started previews. It was pretty wild. Felt like it flew by. Like it was wildly fast.
yeah. So what was it like stepping into these iconic roles while making them your own and then bringing the younger versions of these characters to life on stage?
Absolutely. I think Um, to a certain degree, I had to, obviously the performances in the show are fantastic, but I think that theater, as much as it is a very different genre, theater is a very different genre than film and television, and the script was written in order to, you know, fall in line to a certain degree with the tone that theater presents. So I obviously saw the show, love the Ted Wheeler in the show, but my character had to be very different, both because of the script and because of the medium that we were performing within. If I had to perform Ted Wheeler on screen, it would be a very different vibe. But for theater, it felt, from my perspective, like his archetype within our show is sort of the fool, supposed to be very comedic relief. He's not as intelligent, or maybe it just takes him a little longer to process information, as I like to think about it. But that was a really fun experience to get to play like a more fun, go lucky kind of lackadaisical, authentic like bonehead. Like that was a very fun role to take on. And um I was always playing around with Dora. Like our relationship that we had on stage was developed because we were in the rehearsal room because we were always together in scenes. So it's been very fun playing off each other and discovering new moments as we go along. We're discovering new stuff every day. Just it's never the same show.
Yeah, it was my favorite part of the show, just watching you 2 have such a fun time on stage, like, it reads so well that you guys are having so much fun.
We are. We literally are.
So, what is your favorite part about portraying Ted Wheeler and your favorite scene and moment in the show?
Oh God. All of them are fun for different reasons. I love the opening. I think it's like our
Yes.
the opening school scene is just so well directed and it's so much fun. It's there's so much chaos and it's kind of nice because I just get to see the cast and check in with everybody. Um, Playing the guitar is always really nice. It's a fun, it's I think I love playing the guitar and singing. I think probably my favorite moment in the show is getting to sing Oklahoma at the end. And
Yes.
trying to decide how good Ted would be at singing, and I'm a musical theater major, so I can obviously sing a little for sure. And I decided, I thought it would be funniest if Ted was like weirdly great at singing for no reason. Is kind of my MO, is like Ted is like this football quarterback, like very dumb jock vibe, but the kid can fucking sing. Part of my French.
No, you're good. Finn
Um,
Hudson being revived, ladies and
Right,
gentlemen.
literally, like that kind of vibe. So I was kind of like, I could make him sound bad if I wanted to, but I'm gonna see what the directors think if I just sound great. And they loved it. Like they thought it was hilarious. So that's kind of been what I've stuck with since then.
Yeah, I have to go back to what you said earlier about you feeling that your voice won't get you there yet, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh, Oklahoma's got you there." Like, watching you do Oklahoma in the play, like, was
Yeah.
insane. 'Cause you
Hey,
know me,
thanks.
I don't really, like, see plays on Broadway. Like, the day I saw you in Stranger Things, I was telling you, I saw John Proctor matinee, and then I saw you do the show at night, and that was my first experience to plays on Broadway, and then
Oh,
seeing that musical element of Oklahoma in that and, like, obviously knowing you and your background, I was like, "That's crazy." Like, watching you
yeah.
sing that, I was, like, on the floor.
It's so much fun. It's
Awesome.
so much fun. And it's so awesome that I get to sing in the show. It's like totally not what I was anticipating was going to happen. And there's a dance number. Like it's basically a
You
musical.
get to do all of it.
You get to do all of it. Keeping it all in tune as I go.
Oh. So, alongside playing Ted, you also understudy the role of Hopper, and you recently made your Hopper debut.
Mhm.
So, what was your rehearsal process like balancing your own track as Ted while also learning the Hopper track?
And it's nice in rehearsals, you're going to all of the principal rehearsals when you're not called. So I was always in the room watching when I could, which again, what a fantastic learning experience. And also, Burke is such a talented actor, and he's very, very good with being off the cuff, which I think benefited him a lot in this specific rehearsal room because so much information was being handed to those principals as they went along. And Burke is someone who can take a new page of script and dialogue and just learn it in like 30 seconds and just go, which was so inspiring to me. I'd never seen anyone work that fast. I'd worked on a soap opera and I was like, that is far and beyond the fastest I've ever seen anyone pick up a paper and like learn it really quickly so they can go and like explore and play around with the dialogue. already kind of memorized. Um, all three, I mean, Allison, Juan, and Burke were all really great about exploring. Nothing was ever precious, nothing was ever sacred. They were always willing to change things around. And that was like kind of one of my big takeaways going into, tech when stuff starts to solidify. And then when I was in understudy rehearsals, so after we opened, after previews ended, the understudies start rehearsing the show themselves with our assistant director Tavia. And we're all in a room together, just running the scenes back and forth, making sure we're clear on blocking, answering questions, and so on. And one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize in my rehearsal time was making sure that I, exhibited a little bit of that sense of freedom and exploration in the work because that's what it was kind of built upon. And I'm just very glad that I had those three to work with or to watch work while we were in rehearsals because they were, they're so good at what they do. And it was and then when I stepped into the role with Allison and Patrick, who's on his Bob for now, because Juan's in recovering from an injury, he will be back soon. I'm very excited to see him again. But when I stepped into it with Patrick and Allison, who Patrick's done the role for a while now too, they were so welcoming and making sure that I was feeling comfortable, and they were so willing to play along with me with the new things that I brought to the table. And I was having a really great time picking up with it, what they were putting down and what they had been putting down. So again, like I think the biggest thing with this company is that nothing is super precious, which I so appreciate, especially from an understudies perspective. It just makes it so much more fun.
Yeah. Can you take us back to your Hopper debut and share what it was like stepping into a different role and kind of seeing the show from a whole new perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it was super scary, obviously, but it also, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared. So I did a lot of preparation before. I was running the show every day to make sure my voice was going to be in shape for when I had to go on, and making sure that all my tracking and all my lines were and all my blocking was so ingrained that if I, choked or got too nervous, that it would still be there to back me up. And thank God it was. Um, I don't know. I think again, like the company is so supportive that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like I was anticipating it being quite stressful, but it really wasn't. It was by the middle of the first act, I felt like I was dropped in and contributing to the narrative in a way that wasn't just me making sure I knew my lines. I really felt like I was acting, which was great and gratifying. I mean, I think for any understudies that are watching right now, just ensuring that make sure you're prepared, and then it just gets to be as fun as it would be if you were going for any other role. And I also applaud you. Like it takes so much work. Swings and understudies. Swings especially. I mean, I can't even imagine. That is a completely different world from what I've had to do. But it takes, I can tell you, for one track alone, it takes so much work, so much preparation, and people often forget that it's not just the onstage choreography, it's the backstage, especially with our show. There's a lot of moving pieces, and you have to make sure that you're getting props at the right place and putting them away at the right place. And it's that it was stressful. So for me, it was just making sure that I was like more than prepared. And I'm glad that I did that work because I felt prepared when I went on.
Yeah, I'm sure you were perfection as always. Oh, so what has been your highlight moment in Stranger Things: The First Shadow so far?
Highlight moment. Opening was super cool. I mean, there's so many. Opening was amazing. Like we had that giant step and repeat, which is surreal. All those photographers and dressing up. My sister and I made this beautiful blazer. She's a fashion designer, so she came up with this idea to have a blazer with beads, and it looked like I was being rained on, but it was beads. It was very cool. It was so much fun to get to work on that with her. Um, and then obviously it was just such a celebration of all the work that we had put in. I think a lot of the highlights have been like behind the scenes, hanging out. I was just with the cast at Prospect Park yesterday. We always see each other. We're always hanging out. We always want to be around each other, even when it's our day off. So I think this cast is the highlight for me. I really love the group of people that I'm working with every night.
Yeah, the people make it special. I truly stick by that in theater and in everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, out of all the roles you stepped into from regional theater to TV and film and now to Broadway, are there a few that particularly stand out to you for specific reasons?
Billy Elliot for sure. That was just a real culminating moment for me. I think playing Ted on Broadway. It's just my Broadway debut, so that's super special. I loved doing Newsies at school. That was just the introduction to high school theater, which meant a lot to me. Yeah, all the roles come with their own, specific specialties and aspects that I love about them.
Yeah. So, looking back on everything you have achieved in this industry, what advice would you give your younger self entering the industry?
I think it's when it gets scary, keep pushing. Like when it gets scary, that's when you know how much you care about it. And being scared to do what you love doesn't mean that you don't love it anymore. It just means that you have high standards for yourself and it's going to take a little longer for you to get there than you thought it would take you initially. And that you should be proud and glad that the work is hard because that's kind of what makes it fulfilling and worth it.
Yeah. Jamie, thank you so much for joining me on the Inspiration Show. You are truly one of my favorite people and performers, and I'm just in constant awe of you. You've had such a meaningful impact on my life and my theater journey, and it's such a privilege to get to look up to you and watch you shine. And it was so, so special to have you here. Thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.